Okay. Yeah, I think we are live. I'll wait for some more people to join. Just a couple of minutes more. All right. I think we can start. So, welcome everyone watching. This is IEEE Piston, and this is Inside, which this is the second series of talks where all the fourth years from core branches come to share their experience together with the juniors and help them, guide them in what they want to do. So, first up, we have Shreya Ramakrishnan from the Department of Mechanical Engineering. She has interned at ExxonMobil and is currently placed at Caterpillar. Shreya, thank you for taking your time for us. Over to you.
Thank you, Ehan. I will just share my screen. Just give me a minute. I'm sorry. Just give me 1 minute.
Yeah, no problem.
Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it is.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Shreya R. I've titled this talk, Finding Your Way Can Be Finding Your Way Through BTech, Finding Your Way Through Mechanical Engineering. We'll start off with a brief introduction to myself. I am currently in my final year BTech Mechanical Engineering. My technical interests lie in the field of computational fluid dynamics, specifically its applications in the medical field. This is a field that I've only recently discovered and figured out that this is what I like. For those who don't know what computational fluid dynamics is, it's a branch of fluid mechanics that uses numerical analysis and data structures to analyze and solve problems that involve fluid flows. In addition to being a mechanical engineer, I am a professionally trained dancer and a vocalist. To give you, this is my technical background. I was an industrial trainee at the Oragadam plant of Royal Enfield. This was done post my second year in the summer. I interned at ExxonMobil post my third year, and I'm currently placed at Caterpillar as an associate engineer. I'm also working under a professor in the mechanical department, Dr. Ranjit M., on a research project titled Computational Modeling of Bioheat Transfer Problem for Cancer Treatment. So I would just like to walk you guys through my journey at NITK, what I've done so far, what I regret doing, what I regret not doing, to give you an idea. So my first year at NITK, I was pretty much like every other fresher, super enthusiastic, ready to try everything. I took part in all sorts of events, whether it was technical, cultural, all sorts of events I took part in of different clubs. I joined the NITK dance crew in my first year, and I also joined Baha NITK Racing as a marketing executive and a content writer. I tried maintaining a decent CGPA. I discovered that I don't really know too much about my branch. All that I knew about mech at that point was just the common conception that it is all about cars and aeroplanes. So yeah, that was a real awakening for me. I also realized that I like coding more than I thought I would. So one important thing in your first year is to pay attention to those basics, because later if you want to change your fields, those basics will help you. So maintain a decent CGPA and pay attention to those courses. Don't slack off in your first year. I know it's a new environment for you, but make sure that you stay on track. In the summer after my first year, I took up SMPs on reverse engineering and cryptography and mobile robotics. Reverse engineering and cryptography was mainly because I just thought it was really fascinating, and I just discovered that I did not hate coding as I thought I would. And mobile robotics is an upcoming field, so I thought I would get my hands into that as well. Few of my regrets from my first year is that I did not explore too many fields. I did not venture out too much. And so at the end of my first year, I just knew whatever basics I'd learned in my first year. I did not know much else about any of the branches. I slacked off in my even semester, which led to a drop in my GPA. I tried making up for that in my further years. I did not venture out of campus much. So first year is the only time that you actually get to, at least in mechanical second and third year are quite grueling. So I did not venture out too much in my first year. So I regret not having enough fun in my first year. And another thing is that I wish I could have completed my industrial training in that summer, maybe, which would have given me an option for any other internships after my second year. Moving on to second year, this is when all the technical clubs start their recruitments. So I joined ACM and ITK. I also auditioned for the NITK Music Club. And throughout second year, it was helping in organizing events for the clubs, taking part in everything. I cannot stress this enough. Take active participation in all your clubs, because it's a great chance to network with seniors, and seniors are like an invaluable resource for information. So I started working on a club project under ACM and ITK, which was in the field of CFD. This was my first introduction to this field, and I found it quite fascinating. It combined both mechanical and some basic coding. And there were a lot of mini projects in my courses through this year. These are projects that you work along with teammates, and these are quite important when you actually further in your internship or placement interviews. There are a lot of times they will ask you about situations where you had to work with other people. So these mini projects are equally important. I tried exploring a few fields in mechanical, whether it was searching on my own or taking up some electives that the department offered. An important part of the second year was learning to manage time between club work and academics. At this point, I was a part of 4 clubs, so I had to make sure that I was not stressing myself out too much, but at the same time keeping on par with my academics. When it comes to, say, internship or placement, you do not have to be the topper in your branch, but maintaining a decent CGPA, because most companies have cutoffs of about 7.57 and some of them have 6. So you need to maintain a decent CGPA to clear the cutoff. And towards the end of second year, I was faced with the dilemma of opting for either an industrial or a research internship. So I did not consider myself knowledgeable enough to go for a research internship to be able to work on a project of my own. So I opted instead to go for my industrial training, which I did at Royal Enfield. So during this internship, basically I got to know how they put the bike together, about the different parts, the designing aspect of it. I could see firsthand how like an IC engine works. So a lot of concepts that you learn in your second year, whether it's basics of design, basics of IC engines, you get to see these in person, at these plants. So that's why this is very important. It gives you that correlation between what you've learned and what actually goes on in the real world. In that summer, I also conducted an SMP on CFD, which was honestly a learning experience for myself because when I taught people, I understood my project all the more. So regrets through the second year, second guessing myself and not applying for a research internship. There are quite a few research internship programs that are offered to second years, and I did not apply for any of these, and I instead took up an industrial training. I was also constantly intimidated by my peers. When you enter college, there are a lot of people who know for sure what they want to do, but there are also equally people who don't quite know what they want to do in their career, and they're just trying to figure out their way. And it's quite intimidating when you're in that atmosphere because you have some of the most brilliant minds of the country surrounding you, so it can get quite intimidating at times. So third year, I approached a professor in my department, Dr. Ranjit M, to work on a project. I had discovered, so I had started working with CFD in my second year. And funnily enough, I developed an affinity for medicine. It was honestly through a TV show, it was Grey's Anatomy. But yeah, I realized that this is something that I would like to work on. So I tried to look at the intersection of these two fields. And so I started working on a project under his guidance. I was given I was assigned as the coordinator for the freshers interest group for ACM and ITK. This gave me a very good opportunity to manage things, to be involved in organization, to interact with first years. And again, I was constantly involved in all the club work. I would be there for events. I would take part in the dance crew and music club activities. So in third year, you are given the option of choosing electives, and it's about finding a balance between an elective that is easy and one that is relevant to your field. uh, Most of the times we end up taking electives that are easy because it can get quite stressful, but there are sometimes that there are certain electives that you do want in your grade card and you'd have to take those up. So it's about finding that balance. And again, I was faced with the dilemma of research and industry because internship recruitment start in beginning of the fifth semester, and again, I was not sure what I wanted to do. So I went ahead and sat for the internship interviews, and I was selected as an intern for ExxonMobil. So an important part of the interview for ExxonMobil was that they weren't they did not focus solely on my academic achievements, because they gave equal importance to all the extracurricular work that I've done, all the team projects that I've worked on. So this is one important thing you have to remember about working in the industry, is that they will not just look at your CGPA or your knowledge. You need not be the smartest person, but they will look at your interpersonal skills. They will look at your communication, and that's what club activities give you. You communicate with a lot of people. It improves your communication skills, and you would know how to talk to an interview, and it'll come through. It gives you that confidence during an interview to ace the interview. So and also in like third year, you'll often see, I've often noticed that people incline themselves more towards the technical aspects of clubs. People do not go to more leisurely clubs. What I would say is that clubs like, say for example, dance crew or the music club, they offer you this, it's like relief, when you get so stressed out with academic work. Clubs like these, they give you that time to relax, to do something that you are super passionate about, and it puts you at peace. It gives you a little bit of you time. So it's you will learn how to manage your time through your years in college. So yeah, important thing to take away from this is that when you're going for internship interviews, your CGPA matters to clear the cutoff, but beyond that, they will not ask you for your CGPA. They will look at all the work you've done, all the skills that you've shown through all of that work. So my regrets again is I still wasn't sure which field I wanted to specialize in, and I hesitated to approach people because I was scared that they would judge me and think that I wasn't smart enough to do something. So always always approach your seniors, because they've gone through this, they're going through the same path as you, they would have faced the same kind of dilemma as you. So draw on their experiences, you can learn a lot from them. And by then my third year, my social life was in the drain because I was doing so much club work, I was being so stressed about academics and all of that. So always take out time for yourself, okay? Take out time, have fun, because you will not get back your college time. Moving on to my final year, I presented my research work at a conference and an undergraduate symposium. These are really good platforms because when you're presenting your work, you tend to understand it much better. You also get to look at what other people are working on across the country. I prepared for my placements and I got placed at Caterpillar, which was the first company to come for mech and is a really good company. So again, here, I did not think I would make it into a mechanical company, a core company. I did not believe my knowledge enough. But an important thing during interviews, steer the conversation towards your strengths. So any projects that you've done, any work that you've done through college, you will find a common link between that and the company that you're applying for. So always read up on the company before you sit for an interview. They always hold a pre-recruitment talk. So when they talk about what kind of work they do, pay attention to it, and you will definitely find some sort of common link between what you've done and what they do. So once you find that link, it's pretty much just a very healthy conversation between you and your interviewer, and you will be so confident of your work, and that comes out really well in an interview. So that's what happened for me. I was able to steer my CFD projects towards the kind of work that they did. And so they could also have a conversation with me about it, and they could understand what I've worked on and ask me questions based off that. I took up core positions in a lot of clubs in my final year. I'm part of the core for 3 of the clubs that I am in. And I also joined Pulse as a content writer. It might be weird that I'm joining another club in my 4th year, but for me, joining these clubs is a way of keeping my passion for dance, music, and writing alive. It gives me when I want to break off from like too much of the academic stress, these clubs give me relief. And I took up a lot of so your final year is pretty much just electives. So this is a good time to explore your options. You can the timetable is also, it's not too stressful, so you can take up some online courses and do those as well. And mainly what I the main decision I took in this year was to not pursue my master's immediately. So why placement over master's? The main thing for me is I wanted to gain some experience working in the industry before I went ahead and specialized in it. I wanted to explore my opportunities. So my internship at ExxonMobil after my 3rd year, it it gave me the realization that I like working in an office atmosphere. It's different for different people, but I like working where it's a team working on something. You have constant deadlines, and the result of your work is immediately seen. So that's the kind of atmosphere that I like to work in, and I figured that out, which is why I chose to pursue placements instead of masters. And I wanted to give myself time to confirm that this is a field that I want to work in, and then take up the next step and specialize in it. So my regrets, again, constant second guessing. Like I always keep thinking that my peers are better than me, and I'm not going to make it to something, whether it's placements, whether it's applying for anything. So yeah, and I also wish I'd taken up an online internship through this semester, because it's, like I mentioned, quite a free semester. So it's a nice time to maybe explore a field that you want to explore. There are a lot of internships that you can work from home. So definitely go for those. So what I want people to take away from this is that the main thing is not everyone has everything figured out. You can take it step by step. Like in my case, I did not figure out exactly what I wanted. In fact, even until I gave my final interview at Caterpillar, that's when everything fell into place for me. So take it slow. There are people who have everything figured out, but it's also okay to not be that way. Explore every opportunity that comes your way. Okay, there's no time like college. You have the opportunity to explore a lot of different fields, especially through your 2nd and 3rd years before you have to finalize on one thing. Use that time, explore. There are a lot of resources available online, whether it's YouTube, Coursera, Udemy. There are a lot of courses. Talk to people on LinkedIn, talk to professors, find out what people work in, and then you can figure out what you would like. Interact with seniors. Like I said, they are an invaluable resource. Talk to them, draw on their experiences. Believe in yourself, okay? Because if you keep second guessing, you are just stopping yourself from getting things. So believe in yourself, be confident of what you know, be confident of your skills, and know that you deserve what you're getting. You deserve it. Okay, so don't second guess yourself. Engage in college activities. This is very important, because when it comes to placements, they want people who have an all-round development. They're not just looking at people who are extremely good at academics. They want people who can work in a team. They want people who have good communication skills. So take part in college activities, take initiative, take in charge of events, interact with people during these events. And finally, don't let your peers intimidate you. Everyone's taking their own path. Everyone's figuring out their own way. Okay, so you will find your way through. That's it from me. If anyone has any questions, you can put them up in the chat box now, and or you can contact me through LinkedIn or through my email. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shreya. I think that was very helpful, especially for people who have conflicting interests right now. So I can't see any questions in the chat box as of now. I think we can move on to Darren. Yeah. So our next speaker for today is Darren Fernandez from the Department of Mechanical Engineering. He has interned at the LTAS lab at IIT Bombay, the Fluids lab at Tel Aviv University, Israel, at the Aerodynamics lab at Hamburg University of Applied Sciences, Hamburg, and is an NTU India Connect scholar. Thank you, Darren, for your time. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Vihan. Is my voice audible?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey everyone, my name is Darren Fernandez and I'm currently pursuing my final year BTech in Mechanical Engineering at NITK. I hail from Mangalore and today I'll be speaking on my experience of 3.5 years of undergraduate studies at NITK. So now I'll be sharing my screen.
Darren, you have gone on mute.
Hello. I hope it's fine now.
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. My screen is visible, right?
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay, so little bit about me before I joined NITK. In my childhood, I used to always, take up hobby projects and work on Arduino boards and do a little bit of coding. So I had a broad understanding of engineering, but I was unsure which branch to go ahead with because mechanical engineering has stuff where you can actually see and touch and perceive it, and it involves Newton's laws like conservation of mass, conservation of momentum. That's why I took up mechanical engineering, and I was very branch specific during my JOSA seat allotment. And I had entered only one option for my JOSA, basically, that is Department of Mechanical Engineering, NITK, and I call it luck or anything, but I managed to get the last seat in the last round. That is the special round, and I'm really grateful to God Almighty, my parents, my friends, my brother, because of whom I'm today, whatever I am. So this is what I'll be covering today. My undergraduate experience at NITK, my internship at IIT Bombay, my internship at Hamburg, Germany, my current research at Tel Aviv University, which is a virtual experience, the Boeing Corporate Social Responsibility Grant, and the NTU India Connect program. So this is broadly my experience as an undergraduate. After my first year, I took up SMPs and I joined the IEEE NITK, which is one of 6 executive clubs. I joined Aero NITK in my second year, and I took up IIT Bombay internship after my second year. In my third year, I worked under Professor Satyabama Bhatt in the Department of Mechanical Engineering. After my third year, I interned at Hamburg University of Applied Sciences. I also joined as the aerodynamics lead at the NITK Hyperloop team after the third year, that summer 2020. That was also when I answered my GRE and TOEFL exams for my MS applications. And currently in my final year, I'm working on a major project in the field of aerodynamics and also having a remote internship at Tel Aviv University, Israel. So in my first year, I spent spent most of my time chilling and gaming, and I didn't focus on my coursework. Well, that is kind of a regret because first year is a time where you can have a strong foundation on your CGPA, and that has, if not for first year, my CGPA would have been higher. So that is kind of a regret. But I think after the hectic days of JE, I think chilling makes sense in the first year. I worked on an Envision project, that is the regenerative braking system. I strongly suggest all the first years to take up a project in their first year, be it a hobby project or anything. At least you'll get some exposure to the way technical stuff is done at NITK. So I encourage you to take up Arduino projects, and I explored some fields in mechanical engineering, and I found my niche. When I entered the department, I knew that my interests lied somewhere between automobile engineering, aerospace engineering, and robotics. So in my first year, I basically explored the fields from aerodynamics, structures, fluid dynamics, control systems, robotics, and I was able to narrow it down to aerodynamics. And I was actually, in fact, very lucky that I found my niche in my first year itself. But it's never bad to explore fields in the following years. Even at the moment, I'm still exploring some fields related to thermal cooling systems. So it's basically never too late. You can always explore stuff. Uh, After my first year, I took up some summer mentorship programs, that is Mobile Robotics by IEEE and Introduction to ANSYS by ACM. I found out that robotics is not really my cup of tea, and after a certain point, it went above my head. But fluids, on the other hand, I found really intriguing, and I took it up as an area of interest, and I look forward to work on it in the following years. In my second year, we were all overwhelmed with the huge amount of coursework that was put on us by the mechanical department. There were too many credits to cover, but that seemed to be a good chance to bring my CGPA up. So fortunately for me, I was able to score well, and that brought my CGPA higher. I cold mail professors from Indian institutes like IIT Madras, IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, IIT Kharagpur, and IIT Kanpur for internships. And after about 35 emails, I was able to secure an internship at IIT Bombay. I will be covering on my IIT Bombay internship in the following slides. I joined Aero NITK and operated as a CFD and CAD lead. Aero NITK is basically a student team which comes under the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics organization. Every year, AIAA organizes an undergraduate competition for students in the domain of aircraft design. So I learned a lot that year, because that was the founding year of Aero NITK. It was founded by Sandeep and Pawan Kumar Koratikere. So under their guidance, my second year was very productive, thanks to them. I joined IEEE NITK as an executive member and worked on a CFD project. Since I had some background knowledge in CFD, I thought it was the right thing to do. And I was introduced to the field of aerospace engineering because of that. Coming to my third year, having done enough CFD work in my second year, I thought, maybe I should explore some experimental work, because it is hands-on. And while working on that was a very reason I took up mechanical engineering, because it was more hands-on. So I thought of working at the aerodynamics lab, that is the wind tunnel lab at NITK, and I approached Professor Satyabama for a project. In that year, basically the whole third year, I spent applying for summer research programs, and I cold mail professors from top universities around the world. The internship programs that I applied involved Charpak, France, CERN, Switzerland, Darwise, Germany, MyTax, that is for Canada, NTU India Connect program, E3 PFL Switzerland, McLaren Racing Engineering Summer Placement. Okay, I would like to speak about McLaren Racing Engineering Summer Placement in particular, because it's not something a lot of people know. It is basically by the McLaren F1 racing team. So you can apply through their portal online. What I did was I approached a senior aerodynamicist at McLaren through LinkedIn. I had a decent conversation with him, and he was pretty impressed with my work so far. So when I applied on the portal, I put him as an employee referral, and my application seemed to have been going well until COVID-19 happened, and it was called off. My cold mailing for professors involved universities like Purdue, Georgia Tech, MIT, NTU, NUS, the TU9s of Germany, TU Delft. Uh, Apart from that, I applied for some applied sciences universities in Germany. I applied for the OPGEMS program. The OPGEMS program is offered it's basically a scholarship offered by the Jindal Group for toppers in the field in the branches of EEE mechanical, civil, and metallurgical engineering. So if you're in the top three, if your CGPA is in the top three of the departments, then you are eligible to apply for that. Coming to my final year, I'm working on my idea of a parametric study of Magnus effect based hybrid airfoil design. So I'd come up with this idea in second year, but I did not have the knowledge and the background uh, requirements in CFD that was required to work on the project. So I kept postponing it till my final year. And finally, I got the chance to work on it under the guidance of Professor Parthasarathi. I'm also applying for some master's applications at the moment because I feel that pursuing master's immediately after BTech is a good option because I wouldn't be forgetting any of my concepts. I'm currently pursuing a research internship at TAU Israel, and I'll be coming to that shortly. And also, I'm going on some trips for the one last time sake because I have some regrets of not going to trips in my first 3 years. So I'm trying to make up for that right now. So coming to my summer internship at 2019 at IIT Bombay in the year 2019, I interned under Dr. Rajkumar Pant, Lighter Than Air Systems Lab, Department of Aerospace Engineering at IIT Bombay. I got this internship uh, through cold mailing. It was followed by a telephonic interview by Pansar himself. So Pansar is someone who has been guiding aerospace enthusiasts from NITK since many years, and every year at least one or two people go for an internship to IIT Bombay and work under him on professional projects. For example, I worked on the design and CFD analysis of span morphing wings for a UAV. So this project was a DRDO project which was pitched up to Professor Pant, and there was a team set up by him, and I was a part of the team. Every week I had to submit my progress, and it was a great fun. It was great fun and a great experience working under him in the lab. So this is basically the team that I was part of, and in the center you can see Professor Pant. Uh, so we came up this crazy idea of organizing a DIY drone workshop for school students. It was a one-day workshop where we instructed and taught school students how to assemble a drone from scratch and actually flying it. It was a really fun event, and it gave me the first experience of organizing an event and being a part of a bigger group. We also went for some treks and dinners, and it was all fun again. It wasn't just work, and work. We had our fun times as well. Coming to my summer internship 2020, I interned under Professor Detlef Schulz, Aerodynamics Lab, Department of Automotive and Aeronautical Engineering, Hamburg University of Applied Sciences, Germany. I got this acceptance through cold mailing, which was followed by a Skype interview. The professor was really happy with my work, and he accepted me. The project I worked on was implementation of Treff plane analysis for induced drag computation in CFD. This internship was really helpful to me because my fundamentals in CFD fluid mechanics got strengthened like crazy. I got to know the background equations that ANSYS uses and how ANSYS actually solves such equations, and this helped me lay a strong foundation in the field of aerodynamics. I had actually approached Detlef Schul's professor back in 2019 itself when I applied for DART-WISE, but I didn't get selected for DART-WISE anyway. So I asked him if a virtual internship was possible, and he gladly accepted me. At the moment, I'm working under Dr. Alexander Lebezon, Fluid Mechanics Lab, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Tel Aviv University, Israel. I got this internship through LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I feel, is a very underrated website in NITK. I mean, not that many people are active on it, but it is really good to stay active on LinkedIn and get to know what are the trends in technology, get to know the experts in your area of interest. I worked on the project numerical simulation and PIV analysis of a lid-driven cavity. I'm currently working on it right now. Numerical simulation, I learned it from Dr. Ranjit Manieri. He offered us a course titled Applied Computational Methods in Mechanical Sciences. So using that, we learned to actually, develop MATLAB codes to solve engineering problems, be it design, CFD, structural. Uh, and he had given us an assignment to come up with a solver for a lid-driven cavity. So I saw that as an opportunity to combine both the work and make it a bigger project. PIV stands for particle image velocimetry. So basically, in fluid dynamics or aerodynamics as such, there is computational methods and experimental methods. Under experimental methods, you have the conventional wind tunnel testing and the particle image velocimetry. So my aim in my undergraduate studies was to gain an overall experience in the field of fluid mechanics or aerodynamics, so that I have a strong foundation for my masters. And I'm happy with what I've done and very satisfied. So coming to the Boeing Corporate Social Responsibility Grant, the Boeing CSR grant is given to students around the world who have contributed to the field of aerospace engineering with good research. Now, with good research, I mean anything, any aerospace project, any aerospace internship, maybe like DRDO or working on aerial robotics, anything, it comes under aerospace research itself. If you have done that, I strongly recommend you to apply for it because $900 is a good amount of money. And in return, they make you the Boeing campus ambassador. So that's a plus plus when you apply for jobs later on. Say having Boeing on your resume will lift your profile a lot. So yeah, NITK is one of the few colleges in India where Boeing offers these grants. The other colleges are IIT Bombay, IIT Madras, IIT Kharagpur, and IIT Kanpur. NITK is the only NIT, and since we are having an aerospace lab coming soon, which is to be established by ISRO, I think aerospace will dwell in NITK and it will open up many opportunities for undergraduates as well as postgraduates. So this grant is offered to 2 UG students and 2 PG students from pre-final year from the departments of EC, EEE, and Mechanical. The procedure is that Boeing company, it approaches CDC to come up with a short list of 4 names. So first, CDC shortlists people based on their resume and overall profile, and then they have the interview round. For my interview round, actually, the CDC chairman and the dean for alumni affairs, they were present, and they were pretty happy with my work because my work, more or less, everything involved aerospace itself. Coming to the NTU India Connect program, the Nanyang Technological University Singapore is one of the top 10 mechanical engineering universities in the world by QS ranking. The program aims to offer summer research internships to Indian students with or without partial funding at NTU Singapore. Basically, the funding is enough for your stay at Singapore, but you'll have to fund yourself for food and for your flight tickets. Fortunately, in my case, I was about to be partially funded by TechWhip and CDC for my food. That is about 60K rupees. But unfortunately, it was called off due to COVID-19. So the deadline for this program is 31st December 2020. So if there's anyone who is yet to apply, I strongly recommend you to apply for this. Uh, the required documents are two LORs. I suggest you to take LORs from professors whom you worked under, or in case you worked under only one professor, take a LOR from a professor in whose subject you've got a really good grade, preferably AA. Take one no object NOC from CDC, your passport copy, your resume, and your academic transcripts. CGPA is very important when it comes to such internship programs. I was fortunate to have a good CGPA, but again, there was something interesting when it came to NTU India Connect for me. I'd actually chosen a project, but it wasn't there on the application portal. So I thought, maybe I should tell them about it. But it was the deadline. It was the day of the deadline. I applied on 31st December. So I applied anyway without mentioning that project on the online portal in my application. So after the deadline, I approached NTU and I asked them, see, the project wasn't there on the portal. Now I can't work on it. So they said, my apologies, and they gave me the first preference for the project. So all that my application had to do was clear the minimum requirements, and I guess that's how I got into India Connect program, and I was very fortunate with it. So here are some general tips I would like to give to first and second year students, maybe for third years as well. Take up leadership roles when you're in NITK. By taking up leadership roles, you'll not only be exposed to people skills, you'll also know how to work as a team, how to lead a team, and that is really important when it comes to higher studies and placements. Learn to manage your time well. Well, I'm not that great at managing time. There are people better than me, like Shreya, who are a part of multiple clubs. They have done pretty well everywhere they have gone. But in my case, I restricted myself to only one or two clubs. And maybe that's why I was able to focus on my academics. Try to get a strong CGPA. This is very important. Your CGPA definitely helps a lot in your future, especially when you apply for masters and PhD programs. You'll have an advantage when you apply for scholarships as well. You'll get a lot of awards because of your CGPA. And again, for internships as well, research internships as well, CGPA is the main thing they'll be after. So if you don't have a good CGPA, it's nothing much to worry. Your profile should speak for yourself, but having a good CGPA gives you a good advantage. Your JE ranks don't matter anymore. Yeah, take it from a guy who has got the last seat in the general category in mechanical engineering. So initially I was a bit skeptical if I could ever manage the competition in the department, but at the end of the day, I succeeded to stay alive within the competition at the Department of Mechanical Engineering. Is the live stream still on? Hello, Vihan.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we are live.
Oh, okay, thanks. Okay, help others who are slow in academics. Okay, now you may be knowing some students in your class, who can't capture some concepts fast. So if you help them, in a way, you'll be helping yourself, because when you do so, you are basically strengthening your own foundation in the field or the course. So helping others is really important. Work on projects to develop your knowledge and skill set. Publications is secondary, but remember not to be disheartened by negative results. So research is research, be it positive results or negative results. At the end of the day, it's what new you've found out and what new skill set and knowledge that you've developed. So that's really important. It is always good to have a backup plan, just in case. In my case, I used to always keep ISC as a backup plan for internships. Even Even in case I don't get any MS admit, I plan to go to IIC and work for a year as a research assistant there. Establish a good network and with professionals and research in your field. Stay updated with your areas of interest and technology in general. Like I said earlier, if you haven't made a profile on LinkedIn, I strongly suggest you to do so, because that's where you can meet a lot of people in your field and you can stay updated with the trends in technology. You can also subscribe to some journals through IEEE or ACM organizations. That will help you, that will give you some knowledge of the stuff that you won't be generally aware of. For example, say MEMS, NEMS, something like that. Be aware and be ready to grab opportunities. Sometimes you'll be thinking like, okay, maybe research is not for me, or maybe you may be having some inferiority complex, say uh, that research is only for toppers and not for someone who with a lower CGPA. So there's nothing like that. If you get a opportunity, just grab it and go on with it. Don't restrict friendship to only people from your region. I personally have many friends from my region, but I am also close to many people from North India, and I've learned a lot. There's always something to learn from everyone, and that's the beauty of being in NITK, that you are exposed to students from all over the country. Try to try to maintain a healthy work life balance. Go on some trips. Yeah, again, trips is something that I regret. I didn't go on many trips in my first 3 years, and currently I'm trying to make up for it. uh, Time management is very useful for maintaining a good work life balance. Focus on your mental health and give yourself some me time. Mental health is not something that is really talked about in the society, but it is gathering some pace right now. And clubs like NITK continue; they are doing a really good job in in keeping people aware about mental health and its importance. And last but not the least, you have to believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, then who will? Uh, I would like to conclude by saying that at the end of the day, at the end, everything will fall in place and things will get better. And if they don't, then it's not the end. So that's it from myself. Thank you. And if you have any questions, please mention them in the live chat. You can always reach out to me through my email, darrencf7@gmail.com. And you can also message me on LinkedIn anytime. I'll be glad to help you.
All right. Thank you so much, Darren. I think that was wonderful and a lot to take in, and we have a lot many questions as well. So the first one is from Rahul, and he has asked that what are the different ways to get internship after second year?
Different ways. Okay, you can either approach professors from Indian institutes, or you can go to companies like HAL, ISRO. If you have any contacts, you can just ask them to help you get an internship there. If you Worst case scenario, if you don't get an internship at an industry or at an IIT or ISC, you can always work under professors at NITK. They are pretty much open to taking in people during the summer.
All right. So we have the next question from Vijay Kumar Vineet. He says, I want to do research further. I'm now in my first semester mechanical engineering department. So I wanted to ask the steps that I should take now.
Okay, as of in a first year, I think the best thing you can do is explore all the fields in mechanical engineering, like MEMS, electronic cooling. Those fields are really less spoken about, so I suggest you to read about on that. Uh, those are some really coming up fields, so they are really important. It's really important that you stay updated with the current trends. Learn about some major fields like CFD and structural. They are some evergreen fields in mechanical engineering. And once you've explored all your fields in your first year, select a field that you like the most and just go ahead with that in your second year. If you like it, continue with that. If you don't, it's never too late to explore. So that's what I would like to tell.
All right. Next question is from Aditya. What did you mean by lid-driven cavity?
Okay, so if you have a square like that, a 2D square, and it is filled with a fluid, the top side of the square has a velocity. So when that happens, the fluid has a circular motion, and that is lid driven cavity. You can Google also, you'll get to know something.
All right, thank you. So, next question is from Avikal. Hey Darren, how do I approach a professor for scholarships while applying at an abroad university for internship?
See, every prof in abroad universities have a certain amount of funds allotted for a project. So if he has enough funds to fund you, then it's well and good. Otherwise, you'll have to fund yourself. You can't force them by asking, fund me or something. You can just request, sir, could you please fund me? And if they have enough funds to sponsor you, then it's your lucky day.
All right. Next question is again from Vijay. How do I get projects in first year?
First year, you could start off by taking up Arduino projects or something that does not require in-depth knowledge in mechanical engineering. So in my project, the regenerative braking system, it was basically a design project. It didn't involve that much math as such. So basically design projects, that's all. Design Arduino. You can just explore stuff in that.
All right. So next is from Karan Panchal. What does a good CGPA mean? Is it like 8 or above?
Okay. 8 above is, see, according, in my opinion, 8 above is good. 8.5 is great. 9 above is awesome. And 9.5 above is whoa.
All right. Thank you. So next is from Rahul. I'm in civil branch, but I'm facing problems in area of interest in civil to do an internship. What do I?
Okay, so I'm from the mechanical department, so I can't suggest you much. But do explore fields in civil engineering like structural, applied mechanics, etc. And talk to a lot of seniors, as many seniors as you can, get their opinion, what to do, and what they had done in their second year or first year. So yeah.
Correct. All right. Aditya, it's Aditya again, and he says CFT. What is CFT?
CFD stands for Computational Fluid Dynamics. Basically, you model physical fluid flow problems on a computer and simulate it on that.
All right. So that's a rough idea, Aditya. You can even Google. Satvik has the next question. How can a second year engineering student from a tier 3 engineering college get research internships at IISc or any other premium institutes?
Okay, so when I interned under Professor Pant, there were students from uh, across the country from various universities like PES, MIT Manipal, and all other NITs. So you can always there are always professors like Professor Pant who will be willing to take in people regardless of your university. You can also directly approach IIC professors. I know some people who have done that and who have got internships directly. You can do that.
All right, so keep trying. So we have, okay, we need to, Vijay Kumar, we need to try to reiterate. He says, from where can you get those projects in first year? Like, what are the sources where you can get these kind of projects?
Hello, Vihan.
Hello, yeah, Darren.
Yeah, I wasn't able to get the previous question.
Oh, okay. So it's Vijay Kumar Vineet who asked about how we can get projects in first year. He reiterates and says, from where can we get those kind of projects?
Uh, you can browse YouTube and see what people have done. It's not a mistake, to uh, do what others have done on YouTube, because it's your first year, and since you're just exploring stuff, you can work something on what hobby people do on YouTube. So it's never a mistake. And since you're just in the exploring the fields, you can start off with that. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, and you can also join our Envision program. That is where we mentor you through the projects as well. Uh, yeah, I don't think there is any other question as of now.
Okay. So I'll leave then. Thanks a lot, Vihan.
Thanks for the time, Darren. That was very useful. All right. So to our next speaker, we have Shashwat Bose from the Department of Mechanical Engineering. He has interned at the Center for Nanoscience at IISc Bangalore, and he has also interned as the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, Germany, for the summer of 2020. Welcome, Shashwata. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you for the kind introduction, Vehan. So,
Live streaming is on.
Okay, Shashwata, we are live. You can start.
okay. So, hello everyone, and welcome to the second day of the Inside Talk series. I'm Shashwat Bose, and I'm currently a final year undergraduate student from the Department of Mechanical Engineering. And today I will be talking about my career in research during my undergraduate studies and how I went about it. I'll also talk to you about what I did in my during my undergraduate studies and how you can mold your way into a career in research. So, as a bit of background about myself, so I have been working in the field of microsystems and nanosystems, and I have been a research intern at Institute of Microstructures and Technology at Class 2 Institute of Technology. And before that, I was also a research intern at Center for Nanoscience and Engineering, IISc Bangalore. And I've also worked on a project on torsional accelerometers in NITK in the Department of Mechanical Engineering.
Shashwata,
Now,
1 minute. Can you switch your network? It your voice seems to be breaking. If
okay,
at all,
yeah,
you can switch to a better one.
wait.
Yeah, just a minute, guys. You can post your questions until then.
Let me see if I can change my internet.
streaming is on.
Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can hear you now, and the
that's
network
fine.
quality is better.
Okay, fine. So shall I start from the beginning or shall I continue?
And you can pick up where you left.
Okay, yeah, sorry for the error back there, guys. So yeah, as I mentioned about my research outside of NITK, and at NITK, I have been part of NITK racing since my second semester, and I am also the technical lead of NITK Racing Electric, and also a member of IEEE NITK. Now, if you're looking for a career in research, or if you want to explore the possibility of going into a research, how would you go about the process, and like how you should streamline your career during your undergraduate studies? So what I did in my 4 years, I'll just give you a brief idea. So in my first year, I explored all the possibilities that were available to me, and when I joined NITK in 2017, I was really interested in mechanical engineering, the core mechanical engineering. And as I kept on interacting with the seniors and exploring what are the different fields that you can do research on after your undergraduate studies, I stumbled upon a field known as micro electromechanical systems, also known as MEMS. So I interacted with seniors about few more fields like CFD, then ICE engines. I also dabbled quite a bit in vehicle dynamics, automobile engineering, and as I went through my first year, I realized that maybe industry is not exactly for me, and industry won't be something that I am going to enjoy. And I decided that research might be the best option for me after my undergraduate studies. And after interacting with seniors and exploring the possibilities, some for some reason I was lucky and I could decide on which field to work on, but that might not be the case for everyone. And I did narrow down onto the field of microelectromechanical systems. And yeah, I decided that I will try to work on this field. Now, some advice as when you are in first year, I would advise you guys to explore all the available possibilities and be sure to approach your seniors, and that is really important. You like when I was in first year, I was a bit hesitant talking with the seniors, and I was a bit afraid that I might get ragged or they might not be so free with me. But like as the seniors started approaching us, I realized that it's not that, and seniors are really helpful. So you should make it a priority to interact with all of your seniors and learn from their experiences. Also, try to maintain a decent GPA from first year itself, because during your first year and your second year, if you have a decent CGPA, even in your third year and final year, if you slack off a bit, your net CGPA won't be affected too much. But first year and second year GPA influence your final CGPA a lot. So make sure you try to maintain a GPA. And the most important thing, enjoy your first year to the fullest, because as far as my experience is concerned, first year was the most memorable year in NITK, and it was so fun. So don't miss any of the club events, or even the engineer incident. Do not go home during engineer, and enjoy yourself during your first year. Okay, so that is mandatory. Now, moving on to second year. Now, if you are lucky enough and you have narrowed down, and you have decided that, okay, I will be going to industry, or I will be engaging in research work, if you have decided, okay, fine, I will be doing research after my undergraduate studies, and this is something I really like, and you have also found your area of interest, next thing would be to engage in research work in NITK itself. Now, there are really good professors in your respective departments. There are really good professors in Department of Mechanical Engineering, and they all have some really good research work going on. So once you have narrowed down on your area of interest, in my case, it was my MEMS and NEMS, I decided to approach a professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, and I approached him if he is willing to give me some research project to work on. And thankfully he agreed, and that was, my stepping stone into the field of micro electromechanical systems. And yeah, I was working with him I've been working with him for the past 3 years, and yeah, that really helped me build my idea about this field and build a solid base in this research area. Now, the second thing is when you will be approaching the end of your first year, that is when the racing clubs, Team NITK Racing and Baja NITK Racing starts recruiting. From this year onwards, even NITK Racing Electric have started recruiting. And in your third semester, that is when the technical clubs start recruiting. So my advice will be to apply for a technical club, and if you're really interested to do something hands-on, try applying for one of the racing clubs. Now, why I would suggest having some hands-on experiences, if some semesters down the line you decide, okay, research work is not exactly cutting for me, and maybe industry should be the place where I should end up. If you have some hands-on experience, it would really help you in the industry. So that's why I would suggest, if you can pull it off, try to be part of one of the racing clubs at NITK. Now, coming to technical clubs provide you an excellent opportunity to collaborate with really good seniors and work on projects in the field that you like. Okay, and the clubs afford opportunities to present any paper that you think you can publish in seminars, and you will get a lot of input from the seniors regarding your career choices. So I would suggest, if you can apply for one of the technical clubs at NITK and try to work on a club project which is closely aligned to your field of work. Now, for my case, I wasn't lucky enough to get a project which was in MEMS and NEMS in my second year, but in third year, uh, in my third year, we actually I proposed a project which was in them, so that was a good opportunity for me to work on my field. Now, as you are moving on through your second year, you will have a pretty decent idea on about whether you would like to do an internship in an industrial environment or an internship in a research environment. Now, this might not be the case for everyone, and some students might still be confused, but that is completely fine. Okay, and it's always good to experiment and try out different fields. Now, if you are sure, okay, I want to go for research, now is a good time. Like from November, I would say, September or October. Yeah, I would suggest you start looking for institutes for summer internship programs. Okay, now once you have listed the institutes in which you would like to do your summer internship, start looking for any programs they might offer during the summer vacation that you can apply for, or even if there isn't a program that is being offered by the department, you can start cold mailing profs who work closely to your area of interest. Okay, so I remember was done looking for colleges to do my summer internship by the end of October, and I was like spamming cold mails to all the professors in my area of interest at around November. So why I suggest you do this is so that by the end of December at least you have a confirmation. Okay. Now the portals for different what do you call it, this summer internship programs, they usually open at around January to March, during that time. So if you have an acceptance by December, it would really help you make up your mind whether you would like to go for this summer internship programs, because for summer internship programs you don't have that control over which professor you're going to work with, and in what will be the project that you will be working on during your summer vacation. Okay, so like I applied for Sense summer internship program, and I also cold mailed the professors at Sense, like Center for Nanoscience and Engineering, and unfortunately, I didn't get the through the summer internship program, but I did get an acceptance from the professor via cold mailing. And the best thing was I knew who I was gonna work with. I knew his background, and I also knew the project that I was gonna work with. So I was prepared for that project. The other research interns who joined with me under the same professor's lab at Center for Nanoscience and Engineering, they were notified about the professor on the day they arrived at Center for Nanoscience, and the day they met their professor is when they came to know about which project they will be working with. So they came to know about all that on the day they came to the Sense lab, and I knew it back in December. So that's obviously a very huge advantage. Okay, and I was prepared for the project that I was going to work with. So yeah, keep this in mind when you are applying for summer internships. Now, coming to your third year. Now, what I did was, after my summer internship at ISC Bangalore, I came back to NITK, and I approached the same prof who I approached back in my second year in mechanical engineering, and I decided to extend my project based on the work that I did in Center for Nanoscience, and I continued my project in my third year. Now, meanwhile, I also started looking for universities abroad that I can apply for a summer internship in my third year, after my third year. Okay, so same planning. You start looking for universities at around September and October, because there are way many summer internship programs abroad. Like there is Dartwise, then there are MyTax, then Charpak, which is at France, and there are even colleges which offer their own summer internship programs. Like there is this E3 program offered by EPFL Switzerland, and SURF program offered by Caltech. Okay, so these programs usually have a deadline at around November, yeah, around October and November. So be sure to look up these programs in September. And when you come to your third year, the first thing you do is get your transcripts. Okay, because you're gonna need transcripts for applying to any university summer internship programs and this broad summer internship programs. And transcripts are also vital when you are cold mailing professors abroad. Okay, so be sure to get your transcripts first when you're in third year. Okay, and start looking for universities which you can also cold mail aside from applying for this research programs, because cold mails, as I mentioned, you have a lot more control about the projects that you're going to work with, and also the professors you're going to collab with. Okay, so start looking for universities abroad and start cold mailing professor, same fashion. You should start cold mailing at around October, and you should be done with it by November so that you can start getting replies by December. Okay. Now, another thing, like, this is my suggestion. This is not something that I did, but I would suggest you guys to prepare for GRE and TOEFL examinations if you are pretty sure that you are going to do masters after your BTech. Okay, because in my experience, if you are done with your GRE and TOEFL preparations by the end of your third year, you are good to go and give these exams during your summer break, and you don't have to worry about it anymore, and you all you have to do is just apply for universities for masters in your final year. Okay, so that is my suggestion. Now, during my third year, I definitely applied for all these summer internship programs that I mentioned, like Dart, MyTax, Charpak. I didn't apply for Caltech Surf. Yeah, but unfortunately, I wasn't selected for any of those programs. I also applied for NTU Summer, NTU India Connect, and that also didn't work out. But cold mailing definitely got me an internship, so that's why I'm stressing on cold mailing, because I got my internship at Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, Germany, via cold mailing the professor. Okay, so uh, please keep that in mind. Even if you don't get through any of those programs, it's not over yet, and you can still get an internship if you via cold mailing. Okay, so yeah, that's about the third year. Now, coming to final year. Okay, so now, as I mentioned, like, you should try to prepare for GRE and TOEFL during your third year, so that in your final year, or even better during the summer break, you can clear GRE and TOEFL examinations. Now, if you now by the end of third year, if you're pretty sure that research is something that you know research is something that I want to do, then you should focus more on your major project. Okay, like, major project is vital for your master's program, and when you're applying for different master's programs, they look into the project that you did. Okay, and what kind of results you got and how passionate you are. Okay, so be sure to focus on your major project. Now, I would say at around September to October, you start looking for universities, and prepare all the documents that are needed for applying to these universities that you want to do masters after your UG. Okay, now keep applying for these universities. Okay, and yeah, focus on your major project. Now, final year is the time when you have a lot of free time. Okay, and usually what happened, like, at least what happened for me, was second year and third year was pretty hectic. I didn't manage to go out on a lot of trips, but I still, managed to squeeze in a few trips, and having some gala time with my friends. But final year, it's pretty chill. Okay, so I would suggest going for trips and parties, and make it count. Okay, because that is something that you're gonna remember long after you have graduated from NITK. Okay, so, in trips and parties are essential. Do not overlook them even in your second year and third year. Okay, do not make that mistake. It's very important. Your social life is very important. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, I will give you some some idea about where all you can apply for internships in India and abroad. Now, for India, one famous research program that you know uh, it's a really good program is the IAA scholarship program. Okay, so you can always apply for IAA scholarship program, and I think they allot you to the IITs and the IISCs. Okay, and they also pay you a decent stipend, which should be enough to cover your expenses during your stay. And however, as I mentioned earlier, you don't have a control over the professor who you'll be working with, and also on the project that you'll be working with. Okay, so you can apply for this IAS scholarship program, but do keep that in mind. Okay, now then there are summer internship programs that are offered by the institutes and the departments of these institutes. There is there are internship programs offered by IIT Bombay. Then there is an internship program, as I mentioned, offered by Center for Nanoscience, ISC Bangalore, then IIT Roorkee, IIT Kanpur. All of these institutions, they offer this summer internship programs, like their own summer internship programs, and you can look into their websites and to get more information. But yeah, just keep your eyes open and you can apply for this internship programs. Okay, now the thing is, for this summer internship programs offered by these institutes, now here you have a control over which institution you will be, doing your project, like compared to IAS where you don't know for sure, which institution you will be assigned to. Here you know which institution you'll be working in, but same thing, you don't have a control on the professor who will be working with and also the project. So I've heard cases where they mention a particular area of interest in their SOPs and were assigned something else. Okay, so do keep that in mind. And then, yeah, as I mentioned, then comes cold mailing professors. Okay, this is, cold mailing, it has a lot of uncertainty, and most of the time professors might outright refuse you or even don't even reply if they aren't interested or they do not have enough funds to support interns. But if you get lucky and if you get a professor, you have a full control on who you'll be working with, and you will know beforehand what will be the project during your summer internship program. Okay. So in my opinion, I would say cold mailing professors is the best option. But yeah, as I mentioned, there is quite a bit of uncertainty regarding cold mailing. Okay. And of course, last but not the least, even if you do not get any, uh, uh, even if you do not get any internships and any institutions, and you can also always apply for internships in NITK. Okay. Now for abroad, same process. There are scholarship programs, as I mentioned, like Darren, MyTax, and Chapak that you can apply for. You can also apply for institutional internship programs like E3, AINTU, India Connect, and SURF. But yeah, same issues which I mentioned for India, it's also here. Yeah, but you don't have a control over the institutions and for, and the professor that will be working with for scholarship programs like DART, not for DART, but for MyTax and CHAPA. Okay, but for the institutional internship programs, you will have some control on the professor that will be assigned and the institution, of course, which you will be working in. Okay, and yeah, cold mailing professors works again for internships abroad. Okay, now I'll talk a bit about how we can cold mail professors. I think this is something that's really important because all of my internships were secured via cold mailing. Okay, I I don't know where it lacked. Maybe my CGPA wasn't high enough, and that's why I couldn't secure any of the scholarship programs. But yeah, cold mailing definitely worked for me. So what is cold mailing? So basically, what you do is you send an email to a professor who you are interested to work with, and yeah, you just state your interest and you send them your CV, your transcripts. Okay, and yeah, you just approach them that, okay, so I want to work on a project with you, and if you have any available projects, I would love to be an intern and work on that project. Okay, so this is the basic you know, basic purpose of cold mailing. You want to approach a professor for an internship. Now, what should you keep in mind before mailing professors? Okay, so you should remember, that professors, they won't see your mails outright. Okay, so keep reminding them and just be patient. Okay, and yeah, why should you cold mail? As I mentioned, uh, it's a really good way to get your internships. Okay, and be sure to create a lasting impression in your first mail. Okay, because if you fail there, it will be difficult to convince a professor that you are a potential intern. Okay, and yeah, how to follow up on your mails. Be sure to follow up on the mails if you do not get a reply after 7 weeks, and you should be polite. Yeah, remind your professor, yeah, that I mailed you some time back. Okay, so yeah, now I'll talk a bit about MyTax program. So MyTax is a sponsored summer internship program for research internship in Canadian universities. Okay, so the deadline is around 23rd September, and these are the required documents. You should submit your passport, LOR, SUP, resume, and the transcript. Okay, so the process is completely online. You have to submit all these documents, and you have to select 3 projects based on your area of interest. These projects are offered by different professors from different universities, and yeah, based on your documents and your projects, they will shortlist you, and if you're selected, you'll have a Skype interview, and based on that, they'll select the candidates for the MyTax Global Link program. Okay. Now, coming to my research experience at Center for Nanoscience, the my project was on NEMS, like nano electromechanical systems, and it was mostly on nonlinear dynamics of resonators. Okay, so Center for Nanoscience is one of the 2 institutions which have worked on NEMS. Okay, and the best thing about the research was it was a really diverse team, and they were really dedicated about the research. Okay, so that really helped make my mind about research, and that's when I decided, okay, this is what is for me. Okay, and that really helped me. And yeah, in almost most of the institutions, the research environment is pretty flexible, and sense was no exception. There weren't any specific work timings, and the team was really helpful, and it was an overall good experience and helped me consolidate my mind about research. Okay, now, following the COVID outbreak, before that, I got an acceptance from Professor Manfred Kohl at Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, Germany. But after the COVID outbreak, I decided to follow up on my mails, and I approached him for a virtual internship, for which he agreed. So my virtual internship is still going on with Professor Manfred Kohl, and the thing that I learned is, if you are dedicated, online or offline doesn't matter. Okay, and yeah, and that gives this internship was quite helpful in giving an insight into the research culture in universities abroad. And yeah, it definitely helps during applications, because you know what are the kind of research that goes into these kinds of institutions. Okay, now, a few general tips for aspiring students who want to take up research. Love the work that you do and be passionate about it. Okay, so this is really important. You should love the field that you are working on. Okay, and try to discover your area of interest as early as possible. So I was quite lucky that I discovered my area of interest in my first year, and it's completely fine if you do not discover your interest that early, but try to do it as early as possible. And yeah, leave no stone unturned. Look for every possible opportunity and seize them. Okay, try to maintain a decent CGPA, which my other peers have also focused on. Try to keep a CGPA, I would say, above 9 if you are really dedicated towards research and you want to apply for universities abroad. The higher it is, the better. Okay, And do not get disheartened if you're rejected. Yeah, as I said, I wasn't selected for any of those internship programs, but I still managed to bag the research internships. Okay, so do not get disheartened. Okay, yeah, and yeah, keep trying and do not give up, and try to convince profs, and it should be good. Okay, and yeah, that's all, folks. I think that would be all. Yeah, any questions? Go ahead. Yeah, Vehan, on to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shashwata. That was very helpful. We have a few questions. Rahul has asked that how do you decide between choosing either a research internship under a professor or doing an internship at an industry? How to choose between these two?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, Rahul, that in my first year,
Shashwata, one minute. Can you stop sharing so we can see video
yeah,
as well?
definitely, definitely. There is no power at my place. Um, I'm not
All
sure if
right.
you see me properly, but yeah.
Uh,
Am I visible?
yeah, we can see you somewhat. That's fine.
Is someone fine, right? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the question again, Vehan?
So the question is, what kind of projects? Sorry, doing research under a professor or doing internship at an industry? How do you choose between these two?
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, that I interacted with seniors a lot. Okay, and I learned about their experiences. Okay, so once I interacted with them, I decided that maybe industry is not something for me. Okay, and the environment is not suited for me, because I am not the kind of guy who, if you rush me, you're not gonna get any results. I'm gonna take my time. Okay, and industry is not the place. Industry, you have to meet your deadlines, but research is much more flexible regarding that. They let you work in peace, and yeah, and the environment is pretty good, and you can work on some really cool stuff. I mean, I have worked on NEMS, like devices, some 1 nanometer thick and stuff. It's really cool. So I thought research might be the thing for me. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Shashwata. Aditya will be taking your question in the next round. Sorry. So thank you so much, Shashwata, for being here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Vehan. Thank you.
All right. Our next speaker is Archita Sajan from the Department of Metallurgical Engineering. She has interned at the Indian School of Business, Rockwell Automation, and Fidelity Investments, and she's currently placed at Fidelity Investments. Archita, welcome. Over to you.
Thank you, Rehan. Thank you for that introduction. So, super glad to be here, and good evening, everyone. There were some really inspiring talks before me, and I was also getting really inspired to listen to all of them. And what I'll be essentially doing here is I will be talking to you all about my story, which is a little different, which is how to pursue something which is not taught to you in college. But fear not, because there are many opportunities which you will get to really pursue what even if it's your interest, but it's not like outright taught to you in college. So we'll just quickly share my screen. Vihan, please let me know if this is visible or not.
Yeah, it's all right.
Great. So to start off with, let me talk a bit about myself, right? Just to give you all a background about who I am and what I do. So I'm a final year metallurgy and materials engineering student. Like all of our previous speakers mentioned, maintaining your CGPA is a little important, even though you might not be interested in your own branch. I did that as well. So I have a decent CGPA. It wasn't too decent to begin with, but yeah, you can always increase that as the time goes. So I'm also serving as the president of Entrepreneurship Cell. So any entrepreneurship enthusiasts out there, you can definitely feel free to reach out to me. I am also currently the vice chairperson of Association for Computing Machinery, or shortly known as ACM and ITK. I joined in my second year. in 2018. I was also the co-founder and first vice chairperson of ACM Women, something that I'm really, really passionate about. And some of my juniors are doing a great job at taking that vision for women in tech further. And I was also part of the Baja and ITK racing team. So some of our previous speakers talked to you all about the various racing teams which exist in college. And I was part of one of them, which was the Baja and ITK racing team. I was the marketing team member when I just joined. And in 2019, I also served as a treasurer and a marketing team member both. In 2019 to 2020, I also served as the internship coordinator for Metallurgy and Materials Engineering Department. And I was also part of the TEDx and ITK marketing team in 2018-19. So I will be touching upon the internships that Vihan has shed a bit of light on in the next slide. But along with that, I'm currently also pursuing a couple of internships, apart from ISB, which I will be talking about very soon. I am also doing an internship with Umoja, which is a London-based startup, and Chipotle Technologies, which is a New Jersey-based startup, both of them founded by our college alumni who have graduated a couple of years back. So as you can see, and you might be thinking, this person is really all over the place, doing too many things, right? And that's true. I mean, for me, it's really important to really find out what I am interested in college, and these different opportunities gave me the chance to explore different things, and I value each of these opportunities for that same reason, because I explored something which were very, very different than each other, right? So that was a bit about me and why I do a lot of things. So talking about the internships, which are probably of interest to most of you, I interned, along with the startups that I talked about, I interned at a couple of other places, which I will be going into a bit of details about. The first one is Fidelity Investments. So to those of you who might not know what Fidelity Investments is, it's a multinational US-based financial institution. It's an incumbent financial institution. It's been there for a long, long time. And they specialize in asset management, very, very famous for mutual funds. And they also have other fields like workplace investment, insurance, and other different financial services. So that's where I interned from my third year to my final year, that period of summer. Apart from that, I also interned with Rockwell Automation. This is also a multinational US-based instrumentation firm. So they supply machines and instruments to other companies, which are their clients. And I interned with their IT department for a data analytics project. Apart from that, currently I'm interning with ISB, or known as Indian School of Business, a top MBA school in India, along with IIM ABC. And I also interned, which was, again, my first internship at Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, HAL, in the field of materials and metallurgy and materials engineering in my second year as an industrial trainee. So let me take you through all of these in very brief. And let me start with HAL, because that was really the first internship I did, and it taught me what not to do. Right. In my first year, I was not the most participating person. I did go to a lot of club events and they opened a lot of doors for me, but I wasn't still someone who knew what I wanted to do in future. So came my first year summer, in which a lot of clubs had these summer mentorship programs, which I took to just delve deep into certain topics, which were something that I hadn't done before. I was going to go into metallurgy, going to be really separated from other topics. So I thought, let me explore a bit. So I did that. I took computers, I took business, and I took even a metallurgy-based summer mentorship program. So I did all of those. And then I came to my second year. And that's when I realized that in the winter of second year, I have to do an industrial training. So I started looking, and I found out that a lot of people have interned at HAL in that winter. So I started to leverage a bit of network that I had built, and one of my classmates had a very close network in HAL, and our college was also closely associated with them, which helped four of us get an internship at HAL. And that was really a very, very interesting month for me. I loved what HAL showed me, because I believe that those are some of the experiences. It's a little confidential, so I can't really talk about what I saw. But those are some of the experiences which I probably will never be able to see again, right? I was able to see the different aircrafts that HAL was working with. I was able to see the different departments that actually went on and that they were related to the metallurgy and materials branch. But I found it really interesting. But I realized that this is not the area for me 4 or 5 years down the line. 1 month, great, it's interesting. But when I have to work here 9 hours a day, every day, like for years and years, I wouldn't find this as interesting. I realized that while working here. You get those realizations when you start figuring out if this is a good fit for you or not. So I had that realization in HAL, and I had to pivot to a different field. So in the next coming months, I had to find an internship for my next year summer, which was my second to third year summer. And I, again, leveraged a lot of network that I had built. I had a very active LinkedIn, which I maintained, and leveraging all that network, what I already had in my LinkedIn network, I got an internship at Rockwell to do a data analytics project. Now, this opened new doors for me for several reasons. The first one, I was able to do an entire project, which was computers, Python, my SQL, and really all these different technologies, which I wasn't that used to before. So I really enjoyed my project. I was able to first time see that professional work environment, and I love professional work environments. I realized at that point. So that was another really great experience for me. And apart from that, I also got a lot of time to explore areas of interest. So I got to do a lot. I did a lot of business analytics based courses. I also started off machine learning based courses. So I did all of these different things to just explore further and to build a certain set of skills. Right. Then moving on, in third year, I knew the dreadful period of internship tests were coming, which everyone is literally scared about. And I was also one of those people who was scared about that because I wanted to grab an internship from college. So I also did not know coding, and most of the internships which are non-core, are based on coding. So I knew I had to learn, right? I had to understand coding, and I wasn't good at it from the very beginning. So what I really did is I took mentorship from the people that I had networked with while I became part of the different clubs that I kind of talked to you all about in the previous slide. So a couple of seniors really mentored me one-on-one, and they told me what exactly should I prepare to really sit for these tests. I had went through all reviews and all comments on the IRIS platform that we had to really understand what each of these internships entail and what the procedure entails. So after that, I prepared rigorously for months, and then I was able to sit for the tests. I sat for 3 tests. I cleared all 3 tests. And my first interview was with Goldman Sachs, went horribly. But I realized what I should not do in an interview. So that was a good lesson. Then I had SAP Labs. Now, SAP Labs wasn't a good fit for me. I did not make as many mistakes as I made in Goldman Sachs, but it wasn't simply a good fit for me. And a lot of times that fit is important. That culture is important because this is the place you're going to work on for months and maybe later on for years when you get a placement there. So you really need to figure out if this place is a good fit for you or not. And I believe that is the reason why I didn't get through. And that evening itself, I went for my Fidelity interview. And my Fidelity interview was really great. I was very comfortable and I had a great time talking to the interviewer. It was just a very conversational interview and I had a great time. And I felt, okay, this place looks like it's going to be a good fit for me. And glad that they also felt the same way. So I got my internship, and that particular year, my third year, I really, really focused on my clubs. I was very actively involved in many activities through college, which I just talked to you all about in the previous slide. So I focused my time on clubs. I did my projects, which were again business analytics related, and just did my fair bit of share with leading certain activities, certain competitions, which I find a lot of fun. And it's just enjoyable to lead competitions and to, drive a certain event or a certain change or a certain impact. So I was also very actively involved with the Women in Tech initiative, which I started with another person from college, and working in a team to really drive those Women in Tech initiatives home. So that was a great experience. And come now the third year to final year summer, where COVID happened, so a little bit uncertainty was there, but Fidelity offered us virtual internships, and I was able to intern with them virtually. And I did not think that it would be as much fun as it was, because virtually you wouldn't expect to have that much fun. It would become a lot more professional, and you really have to do your work, which was true. We had to do our work, but along with that, Fidelity did a great work of getting everyone on board and having everyone interact with each other. And not just that, I saw an environment which was collaborative, which was diverse, which was filled with people who have different things to offer. And I loved that environment. And so then I worked there on my project. I interacted with different people on different events, and I attended all the webinars that they had in store for us. So I believe after that, I waited for a month. I was preparing for my GRE. And after that, I actually got a PPO from Fidelity. So really happy about that. And I'm happy that they felt that I was a great fit. But in my opinion, what really worked out to get me that PPO was the professionalism, because a lot of time we discount the fact how important professionalism is. But in a company environment, and not just in a company environment, but with regards to anything that we are doing, professionalism plays a very important role. So I believe that was one of the reasons. And the second reason really was my interest and my enthusiasm that I showed towards the work that I was doing and towards the company. I showed an interest to learn more about the company because financial institutions, fintech, is generally something that I'm super interested in. So that enthusiasm was genuine, and they kind of liked that, in my opinion. So all of that worked out. I received a PPO. I gave my GRE just to test out how standardized tests work. And it was a great experience. Some of my previous speakers have shed some light on that, so I wouldn't go too much into details. But again, standardized tests are a great experience. So if you are planning to give GRE, as the previous speaker spoke, you should start preparing at the end of your third year. It doesn't take more than 1.5 months of preparation. Now coming to the current scenario, I thought I was doing my academics. I was enjoying my final year. I was leading several clubs. I was handling several initiatives, but I wanted something more. I wanted to be exposed to a different sort of culture. So I was lucky enough to be introduced to this internship which Indian School of Business had to offer in collaboration with University of Bocconi, Italy. So it was an internship with their entrepreneurship department on a research project which is going to run over 2 years. So I work as a research assistant there, and till now I have interacted with at least 200 startups through various sessions. And I have heard around these stories of 200 startups and how they're building these products and building these startups to provide certain services. And I've also interacted on a one-on-one basis to around 50 startups, listening to their stories in detail. So I believe that these last couple of months have been really reflective, really innovative for me, because I was exposed to that innovative culture where everyone's thinking of something new and creating this change. So I really admire my experience. I really find my experience at ISB very interesting and very, very insightful. And that goes for my internships with the startups as well, because there's a lot of innovative work going on every day, and you have to keep up with a lot of changing culture every day. And it's really fun for me to cater to that. So that's a bit about the internships and how I did these internships and really what I learned from them. But now let me talk to you all about what I did do, which I did already mention a bit, but just to keep these three perspectives in. The first one is just exploring. The first thing that I did was explore. First year, I did participate in club events, but not as much. From my second year, I started exploring courses, projects, clubs, academics, whatever came my way, I explored just to find out what I'm interested about. And you might think that, yeah, there is this certain thing you're interested about, and it's good to have that idea, as some of the people said before. It's good to have an idea about what you are interested in, but also it's good to be flexible enough to change. Because as you gain more experiences, you will sometimes be exposed to change, and that's okay. Sometimes that change is necessary, in my opinion. And I do feel that these varied experiences have given me a sort of idea about what I want to do in the future, and I'm really glad for that. The second extremely important factor is network. So by network here, I mean your seniors, alumni, juniors, and your batchmates. Everyone forms a professional network. And then when you go out to companies, everyone you're interacting with in a company, in any kind of internships, that's the next network that you should follow. And the last thing is hard work. So it's important to explore, it's important to network, but to really get there, to really reach that target that you're really planning on, what's really important is your hard work. So at the end of the day, plain old simple hard work is what really gets you there. So network exploration is very, very important, but things won't be handed over to you just because of that. You have to put in the effort. And I believe that's a really key factor that we sometimes start discounting in college, and we shouldn't. And so I will move forward, and I have a couple of key tips for you all as to what you can do in your first year. in general. So my first tip to you all is participate. You will get several events, projects, knowledge exchange programs, like opportunities coming your way. So participate. Whatever it may be, as long as it's of even little interest to you, participate to know what really interests you. Is it industry? Is it research? Is it this topic? Is it that topic? Participate to find out. Next is network. I mean, I have already emphasized on the importance of network, and I cannot emphasize enough. It is absolutely important. One tip that I do have is start building your LinkedIn profile from now. It's important to have an active LinkedIn profile with which you can connect to professionals all over the world and in areas of your interest. So it's really important to have that LinkedIn network. I have leveraged LinkedIn network on several occasions, and it's really useful. And the last one is to start building your profile. So my suggestion to you all is imagine what an ideal resume looks like for you. Check out resumes, check out what they are, check out people's profiles on LinkedIn, stalk, and imagine what is that ideal resume that you want to have. This might change, but that's okay. Having a very vague idea in mind is never a bad idea. So first thing first, you have to imagine, yeah, this is where I want to be in. And you will gain more perspectives, and you will be able to imagine better once you participate, once you network, once you really get involved with your immediate community. And it's very, very important to involve yourself with your immediate community, especially when you're in college. These 4 years of college are going to go like with you throughout your life. So you have to leverage it. And the first way to do that is just to explore, participate, talk to people, and using that, start building a career vision for yourself. And so that's what I mean by building your profile. And if you have that vague idea of a vision, you will start building your profile by doing projects, by doing courses, by doing internships, or by just simply in your first year by just going for competitions and just having a couple of courses and projects in your store. So that's the first thing. And apart from that, the final tip that I really want to leave you all with is to grab opportunities. There are always two extreme ways of thinking that I have observed in a lot of college students who just entered. The first one is because I did not get into an IIT, but I got into an NIT, I wouldn't be given enough opportunities. The second one is because I got into a good NIT, I will be given opportunities for granted. Now, both of these are wrong. What's true is the middle ground. You get opportunities everywhere. What you have to do is you have to put in the effort and grab those opportunities. So my final and most important tip to you all is put in the required effort to grab the opportunities which come in front of you, because these opportunities are going to be some invaluable experience which you can only probably have in college, and they are going to build your profile for the future. So those are some of the suggestions that I had. And now, if some of you want to speak to me further about the things that I did, and you're confused about what you want to do and want to know more, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm always available, and I will definitely accept your connection request and be up for a chat. Or you can drop me an email. Again, I'm always checking my emails, so I will always be open for a chat. So these are my contact details. So feel free to reach out to me. And that's it from me. Thank you so much. Just a second. Right.
Yeah, thank you, Achita.
Yeah.
That was very helpful.
Yeah.
Currently, I cannot see any questions. We can
That's
wait for
all
a
right.
couple of minutes. If any one of you wants to put in questions, we'll be available. All right. I think we can move on. Thank you, Achita, so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Introducing our next speaker, we have Karthik Rao from the Department of Mechanical Engineering. He was an IAS scholar, and he was also an Darwise scholar. He is currently placed at ExxonMobil's. Karthik, thank you for being with us. Thank you for taking the time. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Vehan. Let me just load my presentation.
Yeah, sure.
Is it visible? Hello?
Hello. Yeah, Karthik. It is visible for me, but we can see all the slides.
Yeah. What about
Uh,
now?
yeah, this is better.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Karthik Rao, and I'm a final year mechanical engineering student at NITK. So right now, I'm going to talk about the experience that I had over the past 4 years. So this is my brief academic timeline. I started out in 2017, and in my first year, I just concentrated on scoring a very good CGPA. This is because NITK follows the method of weighted average. So the CGPA of your first 2 years matter more than the CGPA of your subsequent years. So in order to perform well academically, it is imperative that you perform well academically in the first 2 years and not slack off then. And at this time, I was too new to the field of engineering, so I had virtually no experience in the domain of mechanical engineering. So I did not try for any internship or industrial training as such. I spent my time learning MATLAB and Python. So basically, the tools which would possibly help me in my future research studies or industrial internships. In 2018, I was awarded the OPGEM scholarship, about which I'll talk later. I learned certain finite element softwares like COMSOL and ANSYS, and also worked on a project that involved embedding piezoelectric materials in aircraft structures. This was basically a finite element study, simulation study carried out in COMSOL. Later came IAS fellowship in 2019 to pursue a research internship at IISc Bangalore. I also tried my hand at certain non-conventional interdisciplinary subjects in mechanical engineering like control engineering and MEMS, which stands for micro electromechanical systems, in order to widen my horizon. So 2020 was a very uncertain year for all of us due to COVID-19. So I had received the Dadwise scholarship to pursue research internship at University of Stuttgart, but it got rescinded due to the pandemic and the travel impositions placed by the government. So after that, I started searching for remote internships, and I did get some in IISc and IIT Madras, but they too fell apart because most of those projects were leaning a bit on the experimental and laboratory side of things, and it wasn't possible for me to do them sitting at home through the virtual mode. So I started work on my major project, which involves designing and control of a lower limb exoskeleton. I again won the OPGEM scholarship and got placed at ExxonMobil, about which I'll talk at the fag end of this presentation. So it is quite common for any batch to have a lot of students in certain departments that feel that they do not belong in the department. They may, so there will be some of you in mechanical engineering department as well who want to just break out of this department. So what I would say is that mechanical engineering provides ample opportunities for you to transit seamlessly into several other domains, mainly owing to its vastness and interdisciplinary nature. So you can easily transit to the basic sciences, management, machine learning, and even robotics. So I have mentioned some of the subjects that are taught in our curriculum to the right, and maybe these can be your exit points. But however, if you do wish to continue in the core engineering field, then that's great. We have lots of opportunities here. So, yeah, having said that, let me first come to the IAS Summer Research Fellowship, which I was awarded in 2019 to pursue an internship in IISc. So, this application for this fellowship opens in September and closes by the end of November every year. So, what the Indian Academy of Science does is that they provide you funds and a stipend to pursue a research internship at some of India's premier institutes for a minimum period of 8 weeks. So the stipend they provide you is rupees 12,500, which is quite good for a second year mechanical engineering undergraduate. So I would suggest all of you to apply for this summer research fellowship in your second year as opposed to your third year, because I feel one should either try for research internships abroad or try some industrial internship in the third year. This is basically the application checklist for the IAS Summer Research Fellowship. So in the application, they ask you the academic details of classes. Are we good to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as I was saying before, the CGPA of your first year is very important for your IAS fellowship, and it is the CGPA of the engineering subjects only. So you should not include your humanities subjects. And I would say it is advisable to maintain a CGPA above 9, but there have been cases where people that had CGPA in the high 8s get the fellowship due to their brilliant SOP and LOR. So now coming to the LOR or the letter of recommendation. So you need to get one letter of recommendation by a professor who has taught you or mentored you on a project. So it is always good to obtain this LOR from a professor with whom you share a good rapport, who knows you personally and who is quite friendly. Finally, you will have to submit a write-up on the specific area of interest. So coming to the write-up or the statement of purpose, the application form explicitly asks you to describe a specific area of interest, but I would say it is always better to mention a broader area, because once you mention a broader area, you can easily transit into your specific area of interest when the time comes. Mentioning a broader area will ensure that you do not lose up on the internship just because a professor in that specific area of interest has no interest to take you in. Also, if you mention a broader area, you will get to explore several different subfields, which I think is very useful and necessary. You should also mention the reason for applying for the internship. You need to tell them what you wish to learn through the training and how the training will help prepare you for your future academic and career life. Uh, Most important thing is, do not mention the name of the professor under whom you want to intern. You cannot do so because first off, they do not ask you to do, but I've seen some people do this. But the thing is, if you do it, it will simply narrow down your chances of getting the fellowship, just because the professor isn't available or again has no interest to take you in. And then you will also lose a chance to intern under several other good professors in the same domain. So let me talk a bit about my experience at IISc. So I interned under Professor G.K. Ananta Suresh of the Department of Mechanical Engineering. The domain in which I worked was called Microelectromechanical Systems, or MEMS. So my project was titled The Effect of Scaling on Material Selection and Heat Transfer of an Electrothermal V-beam Microactuator. So at the end of the internship, I got hands-on experience on finite element studies. I understood how to use MATLAB to plot graphs to solve nonlinear and ordinary differential equation. And most importantly, I learned the process of material selection for a given design using Ashby plots and design index equations. So towards the left, I have just included the snapshot of the design index equation that I derived, and this design index equation was then used as an optimization problem over the Ashby plots given to the right in order to choose the material. I won't dwell much about this because this is not the presentation for it. And yeah, the advantages of this program. First off, it is a highly competitive and prestigious fellowship. It adds a lot of weight to your resume, especially if you want to continue into academia. And since interns are expected to submit a report to the academy, you will understand the nuances of technical writing as well. In my case, my professor took 3 classes of technical writing so that all of us would be able to come up with a very good technical report at the end of 8 weeks. Most importantly, there is something called as a lecture series by renowned scientists and academicians. So we had 3 lecture series over the weekend where we had lectures on biochemistry, immunology, neurology, pattern recognition, patent law, technical writing, etc. That was kind of fun. Moreover, this program gives a very good stipend. As I said before, usually mechanical engineering interns, even in the third year, do not get something like 12,500 per month for their internship. and you also get some books published by the academy. I got a book on evolutionary biology, and some of my friends have got books on Vedic mathematics. So that is another plus point of this program. And finally, you get a chance to work in some of the best labs in the country. But there are certain disadvantages of the program. First of all, you cannot choose the professor under whom you want to intern. The academy allots you a professor based on your write-up, your interests, and the availability of the professor during the time frame. Also, due to some clerical errors on the part of the academy, it is possible for you to get admitted to a professor whom you did not ask for. So in my case, in my write-up, I had mentioned that I would like to work on fluid dynamics or CFD, and I had even gone on to list out certain reasons as to why I would wish to do so. But due to some error, I got allotted to a professor who was doing core MEMS research and was into compliant mechanisms and biomechanics. But I was able to kind of correct this error because
Just a second, guys. We'll try to get him back.
hello, hello.
Yeah, Karthik.
Yeah. Okay, am I audible now?
Yeah, you are audible. You will need to start presenting again.
Okay, where did you lose me?
Can you start? Can you start presenting? I'll tell you the slide.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were talking about how you cannot choose the professor. I think you just finished IAS.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, one disadvantage of the IAS program is that you cannot choose the professor under whom you want to intern. So basically, the academy allots you the professor based on the professor's availability and based on your write-up. So I was allotted to a professor whose domain was completely different from the one that I had applied for. So I had applied for fluid dynamics and CFD, but the professor I was allotted to work with MEMS and biomechanics, but I was able to get him to give me a project based on fluid dynamics, that is thermofluids. So that kind of I kind of corrected that error by the academy. So now coming to OPGEM scholarship, I was awarded the scholarship in 2018 and 20. It was the OPGEM scholarship is conducted by the Jindal Group of Institutes to promote academic and leadership excellence in meritorious students. As the motto suggests, the institute nominates the top three students from each of the core branches of mechanical, civil, metallurgy, and electrical of the 3 years, that is the second year, third year, and fourth year. So about 100 students of all the IITs and NITs put together make it to the final list, and a scholarship of 80,000 rupees is awarded to the successful candidates along with the silver medal. Now, the OPGEM scholarship has two stages. So, in the first stage, the students are made to take a psychometric test and a Jindal awareness quiz. So, the psychometric test mainly deals with behavioral questions. They try to gauge how you would perform under pressure, how you would work in a team, etc. And the Jindal awareness quiz is kind of a GK quiz. And it requires a bit of preparation. They ask questions on the Jindal group of institutions. We are also supposed to submit a business proposal to tackle India's socio-economic problems. In my case, I decided to do a business study on the malnutrition and submitted a business proposal titled uh, cultivation of seaweeds in the coastal districts of India. So the students that cleared this first round are then made to sit for a personal interview where they are asked questions on the relevance and feasibility of their business proposal and other typical behavioral questions, finally ending with career plans and hobbies. So let me now talk about the Dadwise Scholarship. I was awarded this in 2020 under Professor Sabine Klinkner of the University of Stuttgart. Dadwise Scholarship is given only to Indian students of certain premier institutes like IITs and NITs, and that funds the students to carry out a research internship of 60 to 90 days in a publicly funded German technical institute. Only third year students can apply. Now, the place where Dadwise scholarship differs from either the MyTax or the NTU India Connect is that one has to independently search for a German professor who will be willing to mentor them during the duration of the stay. So this can be done by approaching the professor through cold mailing. So until and unless you get the approval of a professor, you cannot even try filling up the application form. The advice scholarship is quite attractive. One gets a monthly stipend of 750 euros, a travel allowance of 1050 euros, and a health insurance for the entire 3 months. This is the application checklist for the Advice Scholarship. I'll be talking only about three main components of this because the rest are simply forms that have to be filled up. But what I want to emphasize is that for this scholarship, CGPA is definitely the deciding factor. So although they mention that CGPA of 8.5 out of 10 should do, in 2020 only those applicants with a CGPA of 9.5 and above are selected. So higher the CGPA, better are your chances of landing this internship. And last year, around 120 students were selected from India. So yeah, as I said, you can only apply to public technical institutes in Germany, but that shouldn't be a problem because most of the institutes in Germany are funded by the government. So there are literally no dearth of publicly funded technical institutes. There are about 1,000 to 1,500 of those. Apart from public universities, you can always apply to public labs like Max Planck Institute and German Aerospace Center, etc. But I would suggest you guys to try out first with the top 9 universities of Germany, which have formed a kind of an association called as TU9. The names of those universities are given in the map below. So these universities are akin to the old IITs of our country, and they receive very good funding. They have top class research facilities, and they have the best of the professors. So now coming to the choosing of one's internship guide, uh, the faculty page of most of the German universities is quite hidden. It isn't very easy to find it. So I would suggest you simply type in the keywords faculty, Department of Mechanical Engineering, followed by the university name. So since I applied for University of Stuttgart, I'm going to take its example. The hierarchy of the technical institutes in Germany is quite different from what is prevalent in India. Here, the subdivisions stop at the department, but there the department is further divided into several institutes based on specialization. So in my case, I had applied for the aerospace engineering department, and as you can see, there are several institutes inside this department. And in my case, I had applied for the Institute of Space Systems, but the classifications do not end there. Uh, the institutes are further divided into chairs upon so so as you can see here, these are the different chairs under the Institute of Space Systems. So in my case, I had applied for the satellite technology chair and finally zeroed in on aerospace robotics. And once you do that, then then the following work is quite simple. All you have to do is look into your professor's profile, go over their project works, and they usually would have depicted some of their projects in the posters. If you want more insight, you can always look them up in Google Scholar. Okay. So there are certain things that you need to include in your resume for dadwise, and I'm talking about the format of a resume from a pure dadwise point of view. Uh, the first thing that one has to include is the CGPA and departmental rank, because these, as I said, are the deciding factors. Always include the programming language and the tools with which you are familiar with in all your resumes. Make it a point to include MATLAB and Python as they are very powerful and can virtually do any task. Along with that, you can maybe include your modeling softwares or finite element analysis softwares and much more. You need to specify the courses that you have taken in your undergraduate study that could possibly complement your internship stay. Also list out all your projects and previous internships. If you have any academic awards or most importantly publications, do add them. They give a lot of weight to your resume. Okay, so coming to the letter of recommendation of DADWISE, it is quite peculiar because it is kind of a form that a professor has to fill in. So there are quite intimate and exhaustive questions in the form. So as you can see, some of the questions are, how does the applicant stand out in academic and personal terms? Now, obviously, a professor does not know you so well that he or she would be able to gauge and fill it out satisfactorily. So what I would say is that it is always advisable to sit with the professor for an hour or two and may discuss with them and then make them fill the form. This holds good for obtaining any letter of recommendation. It is always nice to sit and discuss and then make your professor fill in your letter of recommendation. Uh, but if that isn't possible for DADWISE, which is usually the case since professors are very busy, we can fill the form ourselves and then get it examined. And after making the necessary changes, we can get it signed by the professor. So now coming to the research proposal, again, I'm talking about the research proposal from a DADWISE point of view. The research proposal which you will be submitting for an MS or a PhD after 4 years might have a completely different format and requires a lot more effort. So type in your research proposal in LaTeX or use a research proposal template from Overleaf. This is for it to get a professional look because your research proposal will be examined by a panel of German professors and scientists. And if it has an academic look, then it will help tip the scale in your balance. So I would say avoid using Microsoft Word completely and to some extent Google Docs. But one of my friends told me that it is possible to get a professional looking research proposal template out of Google Docs, but it definitely involves a lot more effort and work. So I would say simply download the template from Overleaf and fill it in. The research proposal should have 4 sections for DADWISE: motivation, objective, introduction, and approach. All these are already specified in the website, so you have to follow their format. So the next point is the means to get the content for the research proposal. So it is always good to contact your professor or at least his or her PhD students to give you a brief idea about the kind of work that you'll be carrying out in lab. For further information, you can always refer to their departmental flyers or read up some of their papers and posters. Okay, so now the most important thing, what are the benefits of the DADWISE scholarship? So one can intern under professors who are amongst the best in their fields. A month or two ago, I came across a LinkedIn article where a student had interned under Professor Emmanuel Charpentier of the Max Planck Institute of Infection Biology under the DADWISE scholarship when she was still an undergraduate student. And Emmanuel Charpentier went on to win the 2020 Nobel Prize for Chemistry. So that is how powerful a DADWISE scholarship is. It completely removes it completely opens all doors for you. And incidentally, the student had worked under the Nobel Prize winning study of genome editing, that is the CRISPR-Cas9 study. Coming to the next point, German professors carry out industry relevant research. So there is a huge collaboration between the industry and the academia. So we'll end up building products that have some relevance in today's world. So I was expected to design a chassis for a micro rover called as the Nanocord bot rover, which was supposed to be deployed by the DLR. But then I didn't even get a chance to go to Germany. So yeah, that was put on hold. Um, Most importantly, you can request the German professors to provide you an LOR when you apply for MS and PhD applications. And since they are, as I said, since they're the best in the fields, an LOR from such great professors will give a boost to your application. A DADY scholarship will give you an edge over others when you apply, if you apply for higher studies in Germany, because see, the thing about Germany is they give a lot of importance to their culture. So if they feel that you had appreciated their style of work at one point in your academic career, they would definitely want you to come and study there. Uh, but what the most attractive benefit of DADY scholarship, in my opinion, is that the Schengen visa is accepted in 26 countries, some of which are France, Italy, and Switzerland. And since all the European countries are quite small, one can easily travel to and fro in a matter of 3 to 6 hours. So over the weekends, you can visit some of the countries. I had a senior who visited 11 different countries over the 11 weekends that he stayed in Germany. So finally, coming to my placement at ExxonMobil, the first round consisted of an online test of general aptitude questions, reading comprehension questions, and some technical questions on fundamental mechanical subjects that are usually taught in the second year. The second round was an online group discussion, and my topic was impact of COVID-19 on technical education. So usually companies prefer to give science-related GD topics, and it's always nice to read up on them. So the panel consisted of 7 to 8 students, out of which one or two of us were selected. There were about 10 to 15 panels. So around 15 to 20 students made it to the final round of personal interviews, which consisted of both HR and technical questions. So the technical questions for all personal interviews of all companies mainly revolve around your resume. So do not lie on your resume. Do not lie on the internships that you have done, because the questions will be based off your projects and internships and the theoretical concepts related to them. There is no need to read other mechanical topics for personal interviews, because they would already have tested your aptitude on those topics in the first round itself. So finally, the HR questions were mainly about um, my extracurricular activities, positions of responsibility held, and other general behavior questions. The thing about Exxon is that it gives a lot of importance to your interpersonal skills as well as your academic skills. So they look at you from a holistic perspective. So yeah, so well, interning, sitting for internships for ExxonMobil or sitting for placements, you need to present yourself as a person who is willing to work in a team, who has great leadership quality along with good technical skills. Now, ExxonMobil was supposed to be my contingency option given the current scenario of the pandemic, and it rendering the graduate applications completely, not impossible. So it might be possible later on, but what I'm saying is always have a contingency option when in your fourth year. You never know what may strike. I had certain seniors who did not sit for placements, thinking that they would go on with their graduate studies, MS and PhD, but then they couldn't do so because the universities closed down, and some of them are still at home because although they have got admits, the universities haven't opened yet, or they have opened in online mode, which the seniors do not prefer. And on the other hand, they do not even have some jobs. So do not put yourself into such a fix. Always sit for placements. You can always drop it at the end. Uh, Okay. So finally, I want to speak about the few things that went right for me. I performed well academically. There may be some seniors of yours or friends of yours who might have heard from other people that CGPA does not actually matter, but CGPA does matter. It opens doors for you which would otherwise be closed. if you want to pursue a research career, or if you want to apply for at least an MS or an MBA at say IIMs, then you need to perform well academically. Second thing that went right for me is networking with like-minded seniors. So I learned a lot from them. They helped me take certain decisions. They helped me choose. They help me finalize on certain electives or help me with my application process. I also had smart and intelligent peers who had a variety of interest from biology, physics, machine learning, and finance. So, what happens is when you sit in a casual setting and talk with your friends about these topics, you absorb a lot more than what you actually realize. So, it basically broadens your horizon, and I made some wonderful friends who helped me have a great time at NITK. Now, coming to few of my mistakes, I did not apply for an industrial internship in the December of every year. Uh, so this may not be a mistake per se, but I definitely missed out on an industrial experience. And any idea that I have about a mechanical engineering core industry are from some of my industry related courses, which I feel is not good enough. Do not blindly follow any of your seniors' advice for that matter. Always, put in your own thinking effort, because your seniors are only 2 to 3 years elder to you. They may not have the required exposure to, give you advices at all times. So, after some points, you need to start taking your own decisions. And finally, my biggest regret is that I did not complete enough credits to take a SEM off in seventh semester, because I understood the concept of taking a SEM off in my fifth semester, and by that time it was too late. I couldn't fulfill the credit requirements by sixth semester. So taking a SEM off is something that you can always look into, possibly in the future. A SEM off is something where you do a research internship or an industrial internship for an entire SEM. You won't be taking any courses in your college during that semester. So I have a few advice for the next 4 years. Network with people. Platforms like LinkedIn are very good for networking. I would say spend at least an hour on LinkedIn. You can always reach out to people who have passed out from our institute, or those that are studying in some other institution who have similar interests as you do. Do not shy away from texting seniors. Most of us are more than ready to help you at any time of the day. You can text us literally at any time of the day. And most importantly, explore the Gyan module in IRIS. So the Gyan module is something that has a detailed explanation on how to land internships or placements or apply for MBA and PhD abroad. So the second point is put in your best efforts to do well academically. As I said, if you want to apply for MS or PhD, you need to have a CGPA above 9.5. Also for MBAs at IIMs, they do look into your undergraduate scores. Thirdly, do not worry about your JE rank or SAT scores. It is behind you now. Your performance at NITK has absolutely no bearing on your JE rank or SAT scores. NITK gives you a fresh start. The other thing is you need to make use of your NITK EDU ID for mailing professors within the institution and even outside, especially for internships. Because when you use your NITK EDU ID, it authenticates your request. People know that you are not bluffing. Also, the Google Drive associated with your EDU account has unlimited storage, as opposed to the 15 or 30 GB that they offer. And you can also download the licensed version of MATLAB free of cost using the EDU account. So do explore the EDU account right now, because when I found out, it was quite late. It was at the end of my second year. So in case you want to change your domain, you need to take relevant courses from other departments, or still better, intern under the professors of those departments. It is possible to change your domain in NITK. Your branch does not matter, as long as you take relevant coursework or do certain internships. You need to work on a lot of projects, preferably under a professor. Why I am saying under a professor is that when you intern under a professor, you can easily get an LOR from him or her for graduate studies. You will also end up publishing at least one paper if you intern under them for 2 to 3 years. So teaching, so you will also have to teach yourself some programming languages and FEA softwares that I told before. And most importantly, have fun and enjoy the best 4 years of your life. So yeah, I'm done now. So if you have any doubt, you can contact me over WhatsApp, email, or LinkedIn.
All right. Thank you so much, Karthik. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
I cannot see any questions currently from the audience. Guys, if you have anything, we can wait for a minute or two. Okay, I don't see anything. Karthik, thank you so much for your time, and it was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, Rehan.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone who's watching. We'll be ending the stream now.